The data entry role is responsible for creating new batches and entering the invoices. Once the invoices have been approved, it is important to make sure that the invoices are organized by vendor to ensure that the correct vendor is getting paid. If the wrong vendor is paid, it is the unit's responsibility to call and get their money back and re-enter the invoice for the correct vendor, which tends to make a lot of extra work for everyone. The invoice should be scanned as a PDF so that it can be uploaded to the AP system. To create a new vendor batch, click on the AP Invoices tab, and then click on the Create New button that is in the top left corner. Next, you will see your location, and then if it applies to you, here is where you will select the sublocation. Then we want to select our vendor from our drop-down list. And the week ending date will automatically populate for you. However, if you are entering your invoices on Monday for the previous week, you will need to change the week ending date to get your invoices on the appropriate week. So we're going to flip this back a week. And then you hit the Create button. Once you have created a batch, you can start entering invoices. Simply click on the Add Invoice button. First, what we want to do is enter the invoice date. If you have a past due invoice that is more than 6 months old, you will get an error message saying that the data will not be saved. Click OK and go ahead and just change the date to something that falls within a 6-month period. Then we want to enter the invoice number and the total amount of the invoice. We will discuss the check requests and pay ASAP boxes in separate videos, so for now just go ahead and ignore them. Finally, we want to upload the PDF of our invoice. And hit the Create button. Next, what we want to do is assign GL accounts to our invoice. This invoice is going to be distributed throughout 3 different GL accounts. Because we only initially have the option to distribute the amount to one GL account, what we want to do is under the Screen Actions tab, hit on the blue button, Assign GL Accounts. And then we're going to do that one more time. If you need to change the total amount of the invoice number, the date, or if you realize that you uploaded the wrong invoice through your PDF, what we can do is click on this Edit button underneath the Actions tab, and it's going to bring us right back to our initial invoice screen. And we can go ahead and make the necessary changes. If you need to change the GL account number or the amount that is going to the GL account, you can click on the blue button next to that specific GL account and hit Edit, and then that will bring you back to the screen that we were at before. And you can go ahead and make the necessary changes. If you need to delete a vendor batch or change the vendor name, click on the Edit Batch button, and this will bring us back to our initial vendor screen. You can go ahead and make the necessary changes, or if you need to delete the batch, you can click on the green button at the bottom, and it'll bring you to another screen and ask you to confirm that you want to delete it. Let's go back to our AP Invoices tab. If you need to add additional invoices later on in the week to an existing batch, you can go to the AP Invoices tab, find the vendor that you need to add to, and click on the Data Entry button. and then just go ahead and hit add invoice and follow the same steps that we did before. Once you are finished with the batch for the week, you may go ahead and submit it for review by hitting this green button. It'll ask you to confirm and click OK. And you can see that this batch has moved from the data entry roles active tab up to the reviewers role and ready for review. One thing that I wanted to point out, we'll go into Gordon's, is that I think that I'm done with Gordon's for the week and I'm ready to submit this for review. However, I received an error message that says the total invoice does not match the sum of the invoice details. What this means is I enter the invoice for $100, but I only distributed $81 to my GL accounts. So what I can do is I can go in and I can edit the total amount of the invoice, or I can change how much is going to each GL account, or perhaps even add a new GL account depending on what my mistake was. You can do this by using all the editing features that I just explained. Once all of your invoices for the week have been entered and submitted for review, notify the reviewer to approve and give them the folder with all of the paper copies of the invoices. The invoices must be approved the same day to avoid any delays in processing.